The attic smelled like old cardboard and mothballs, a sharp sting in my nose as I dug through another dusty box in my parents' house on the outskirts of Boston. I'm Sarah, 38, still trying to play the good daughter, even after everything. My mom, Ellen, called up from downstairs, her voice carrying that familiar mix of warmth and quiet disappointment. Sweetheart, you don't have to do this today. I know you're swamped with work. Her words hung in the air, soft but heavy, like she was already bracing for my stubborn reply. It's fine, Mom, I shouted back, my hands carefully stacking faded photo albums to one side. You said you wanted this place cleared out before the renovation. My fingers grazed something smooth, tucked deep at the bottom of the box. I pulled it out, a bundle of leather-bound notebooks, tied with a brittle, faded ribbon. My mom's neat handwriting marked the covers, 1998 to 2002. Those years. The ones that broke us. I froze, my breath catching. These weren't just diaries. They were secrets, the kind you hide from the world and maybe even yourself. My heart thudded as I traced the dates. Why keep these? I whispered, glancing around the dim attic like someone might catch me. I shoved the diaries under a pile of old sweaters, my gut screaming they weren't meant for the donation bin. Sarah. My sister Amy's voice floated up, sweet as syrup, cutting through the silence. Mom says dinner's almost ready. I pictured her standing at the foot of the attic stairs, perfect as always in some soft sweater, her 35-year-old face still fragile, like a porcelain doll our parents spent decades shielding. I dusted off my hands, the diary's weight lingering in my mind, and headed down, each step creaking under the truth I'd just unearthed. I stepped into the dining room, the air thick with the smell of Mom's beef stew, a dish that always carried memories of hard nights like the one when I told them about my divorce. Amy stood by the table, her cream cashmere sweater pristine, her smile as polished as the silverware. At 35, she still played the fragile princess, the one our parents, Ellen and Richard, had always rushed to protect. I brushed a speck of attic dust from my hair, avoiding her outstretched hand. You've got something there, she said, her voice honeyed but sharp, like she was pointing out a flaw. I slid into my chair, the room a gallery of forced smiles and unspoken grudges. Dad fiddled with his napkin, his eyes fixed on the tablecloth. Mom set the steaming pot down, her hands trembling just enough to notice. How's the new place in Cambridge? Dad asked, passing me a bowl of potatoes, his voice trying too hard to sound normal. It's great, I said, keeping my tone flat. Lauren's a solid roommate. Amy tilted her head, her eyes glinting with concern that didn't reach her face. Still roommates at our age? I worry you're stuck in some college phase, Sarah. Her words landed like a jab, soft but deliberate. I'm fine, Amy, I shot back, my fork scraping the plate. Just navigating life after the divorce. Let's not dig up old wounds, Mom cut in, her voice sharp, slicing through the tension. She sat down, clasping Dad's hand. We're here to talk about something important. My fork froze midair. The last time she used that tone, she'd sided with my ex, believing his lies about my so-called instability. Your father and I have been thinking, she went on, her eyes avoiding mine. With the economy shaky and us getting older, we're transferring the estate early. The stew turned to ash in my mouth. Everything goes to Amy, she said, the words dropping like stones. The house, the savings. I set my fork down, afraid it might snap in my grip. Everything. My voice sounded hollow, like it belonged to someone else. It makes sense, Dad mumbled, staring at his plate. Amy needs stability. She's delicate, Sarah. You? You always land on your feet. I glanced at Amy. Her head was bowed, but a faint smirk curled her lips. You're right, I said, my tone eerily calm. I do. Mom's eyes welled up. We know it seems unfair, honey, but Amy's been through so much. Been through so much. The words burned, echoing the diaries hidden upstairs. My hands clenched under the table, nails digging into my palms. Of course, I said, standing. I need some air. My heels clicked on the hardwood floor Dad laid when we were kids, each step carrying me away from their lies. I stepped onto the porch, the cool Boston evening air biting my skin. The dining room's suffocating lies clung to me like damp clothes. Behind me, Amy's voice drifted through the window, soft and syrupy. Should I check on her? Mom's reply was quick, dismissive. No, dear. You know Sarah. She just needs time to sulk. I clenched my fists, their words fueling a fire I'd smothered for years. I pulled out my phone, my fingers steady despite the rage. I texted Lauren, my best friend, the one person who never bought Amy's fragile act. Found something wild in Mom's attic. Need your help. The reply pinged back fast. Wine night, my place. Spill everything. I glanced back through the window. Amy was hugging Mom, probably whispering sweet nothings about how I'd come around. My perfect sister, always the victim, always the saint. Yeah, I typed back to Lauren, bring that fancy bottle you've been hiding. Tonight, we celebrate. Celebrate what? Lauren shot back, her curiosity practically buzzing through the screen. I watched my family through the glass, their faces lit by the dining room's warm glow. These people had rewritten my life, painted me as the villain to prop up Amy's delicate facade. The diaries upstairs held the truth, and I was done letting them bury it. The beginning of the end, I replied, slipping the attic key into my pocket. Tomorrow, they'd be at church, singing hymns and playing the perfect family. Tomorrow, I'd be back in that attic, tearing open those diaries. My phone buzzed one last time. Lauren's message lit up the screen. Now you're speaking my language. Time to burn it all down. I smiled, the weight of years lifting just a fraction. No, I typed back, my resolve hardening. It's time to tell the truth. The night air felt sharper now, like it was waking me up. For the first time in forever, I wasn't running from their story. I was ready to write my own. I sat cross-legged on Lauren's hardwood floor in her Cambridge apartment, the air thick with the scent of dust and secrets. Mom's diaries lay scattered around us, their leather covers cracked, pages yellowed. Lauren clutched a bottle of red wine, her eyes wide as I flipped to an entry dated March 15, 2000. My hands trembled, the words blurring for a second. Listen to this, I said, my voice low. Today, Amy came home crying again. That Hannah girl keeps stirring up rumors about what happened on the stairs. I've called the school board 3 times. Richard thinks we need a lawyer. The Wilsons are talking about a lawsuit. Lauren took a long swig, her face hardening. What happened on the stairs? I flipped back to February 2, 2000. Mom's neat handwriting was shaky, ink smudged like tears had fallen. Called to school today. Amy and a girl, Mackenzie, fought over some boy, Tyler. Hannah fell down the stairs or was pushed, she says. Concussion, broken arm, cracked ribs. Amy swears it was an accident, but her eyes, they scare me. Jesus, Lauren whispered, setting the bottle down. It gets worse, doesn't it? I grabbed another diary, my stomach twisting. June 10, 2000. Paid $75,000 from Richard's retirement fund to settle with the Wilsons. They're moving to Seattle next month. Hannah will finish school there. The principal agreed to keep it off Amy's record owes me for years on the PDA. Lauren's jaw dropped. They bought silence. Your parents buried it. I nodded, my throat tight. There's more. April 12th. Sarah keeps asking why Hannah left. Told her to stay out of it. She's too nosy, always poking around. Makes me worry about her attitude, cold, jealous of Amy's charm. I slammed the diary shut, my vision swimming. Jealous? Me? Of Amy's lies. Lauren grabbed her laptop, her fingers flying. Let's find Hannah. She's probably on social media. She pulled up a profile. Grace Wilson, living in Seattle, a woman my age with a faint scar near her hairline, smiling in front of a bookstore. Her eyes held a guarded edge, like she'd never quite healed. She's out there, Lauren said, pointing. And your mom wrote you off to protect Amy. My phone buzzed a text from Mom. Sweetheart, call me. We need to talk about how you acted at dinner. I showed Lauren, who snorted. Your behavior? Because walking out quietly is worse than covering up an assault. They never saw it, I whispered, my voice breaking. They never saw Amy for what she is. I opened another diary, the truth spilling out like poison. Every page twisted the knife deeper, and I knew I couldn't stop now. Not until everyone saw it too. I stared at Grace Wilson's photo on Lauren's laptop, her scar a faint reminder of the truth buried in Mom's diaries. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, then typed a careful email. Dear Grace, I'm Amy's sister, Sarah. I found my mom's diaries, and they reveal what happened in 2000. I know this might hurt to revisit, but I need to uncover the truth. Can we talk? I hit send, my heart pounding in the quiet of Lauren's Cambridge apartment. At 3 a.m., my phone pinged, jolting me awake. Grace's reply glowed on the screen. Can we video chat now? I opened my laptop, hands shaking. Her face appeared, the scar clearer under harsh light, her eyes sharp but wary. You look like her, she said bluntly. But you're not like her, are you? No, I said, my voice steady. I'm not. Why now, after 20 years? Grace asked, leaning closer to the camera. I told her everything: the diaries, the inheritance, Amy's lies that cost me my family's trust, even my marriage. She built her life on deceit, I said, and they believed her every time. Memories flooded back, sharp and raw. I remember you at school. You sat alone at lunch. Amy would whisper and point. But sometimes, you'd slip me an extra chocolate milk. Grace's smile was bittersweet. I always wondered why the bully's sister was kind to me. She'd break your stuff, then cry to your parents, blaming you. My phone buzzed. Mom again. Amy's worried you'll skip Sunday dinner. Be reasonable. I showed Grace, who smirked. Same old games. Did you know they paid your family to leave? I asked. Grace's face hardened. My parents never told me about the money. But I knew something happened. One day, I'm in the hospital. The next, we're in Seattle for a fresh start. They used $75,000 from Dad's retirement fund, I said, to make it disappear. Grace was silent, then nodded. What do you want from me? A statement, I said. Medical records, police reports, anything to prove what Amy did. She still tells everyone you tripped, says it shows how unfairly she was blamed. Grace's eyes turned to steel. I didn't trip. She waited until we were alone on those stairs. Grabbed my hair, pulled me back. I heard her laugh as I fell. My stomach churned. I'm so sorry. Don't be, she said. You're not her. I kept everything: hospital records, therapy notes, even a police report that vanished. I'll help, but on one condition. Her voice was cold, certain. When you expose her, I want to be there. I want to see her face when her perfect life cracks. Deal, I said, a grim smile forming. After we hung up, I sat in the dark, Amy's fake tears echoing in my mind how she'd sobbed to Mom and Dad about that girl's lies, while I stood silent, knowing the truth but powerless. Not anymore. The next evening, my apartment door buzzer sounded, sharp and insistent. I opened it to find Amy standing there, her oversized sweater and bare face screaming calculated vulnerability. We need to talk, she said, pushing past me into my Cambridge living room, her hands trembling just enough for effect. Come in, I muttered to the empty doorway, shutting it with a click. Amy paced, her eyes starting like a cornered animal. What are you doing, Sarah? Mom's a wreck, barely sleeping. Dad's talking about getting her anxiety meds. Funny, I said, leaning against the kitchen counter, keeping it between us. Their anxiety always spikes when they can't control me. Her head snapped up. What's that supposed to mean? You know exactly what. My voice was ice. Like when they swallowed your lies about my divorce. About me being unstable. Mark told me things, she said, her voice soft, practiced. He confided in me. He never confided in you, I shot back, stepping closer. You made it all up, just like you always do. Her expression flickered, the fragile mask slipping for a split second, revealing something cold, calculating. Careful, sis, she whispered, her tone venomous. You're sounding paranoid again. Am I? I pulled out my phone, opened a photo of Mom's diary, the damning entry from 2000 glaring on the screen. I've been thinking about the stairs, Amy. About Hannah. Or should I say Grace Wilson? The color drained from her face. She gripped the counter, her knuckles white. Who? Don't play dumb, I said, my voice low, steady. Grace Wilson. Had to change her name after you nearly killed her. after Mom and Dad paid $75,000 to make her family disappear. Stop it, she hissed, her voice shaking now, no longer fake. You don't know anything. I know everything, I said, holding up the phone. Every lie, every cover-up, every penny they spent to save you. She straightened, her eyes narrowing. They'll never believe you. You're just jealous, always have been. Jealous. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Of your fake tears? Your staged fragility. I leaned in, my voice a blade. Mom should have burned these diaries instead of hiding them. But she couldn't face the truth about you, could she? Amy lunged for the phone, but I yanked it back. Careful, I said, my tone mocking. Wouldn't want another stare incident, would we? You're trying to ruin everything, she spat, her voice raw, unmasked. No, I said, opening the door. I'm finishing what you started. See you at the estate meeting. Bring your tears. You'll need them. She stormed out, her footsteps echoing down the hall. I called Lauren, my pulse still racing. She was here. Showed her true colors. What happened? Lauren asked, her voice tense. I sent her the security footage of Amy's visit, just in case she tried to twist the story. She's scared, I said. She knows I've got her. Smart move, Lauren said. You okay? I didn't answer. My phone buzzed Mom's text. Amy's in a panic. What did you say to her? Then another. This behavior has to stop. I forwarded them to Lauren, my resolve hardening. They're circling the wagons, I said. But it's too late. Jessica's office in downtown Boston smelled of leather and polished wood, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. I sat across from her, the family lawyer, as she adjusted her reading glasses and skimmed the stack I'd brought, copies of Mom's diaries, Grace's medical records, and bank statements showing shady transfers from 2000. Her brow furrowed, and she set her glasses down. This is heavy, Sarah, she said, her voice measured. Your parents could face real legal trouble, fraud, maybe worse. I'm not here to accuse them, I said, my tone firm but calm. I just want the truth out, in front of witnesses, at the estate meeting. Jessica leaned back, tapping her pen lightly. The meeting's next week. Amy will be there, your parents too, plus a notary. It could get messy. It's been messy for 20 years, I replied, my eyes steady. At least this time, it'll be honest. My phone buzzed. Amy's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call, but her voicemail popped up instantly. Jessica nodded. Play it. On speaker. I hit play, and Amy's voice filled the room, trembling with rehearsed panic. Sarah, please. Mom's freaking out because you skipped Sunday dinner. Dad's talking about delaying the estate transfer until you're stable. Why are you doing this to us? To me? I'm your sister. Jessica's expression hardened. Interesting timing. Have you told anyone about the diaries? Just Lauren and Grace, I said. Why? She pointed at the phone. That sounds like damage control. Amy's spinning the old instability story again. A knock interrupted us. Jessica's assistant dropped off a file bank records from 2000 to 2002. Jessica spread them out, her finger tracing multiple withdrawals, each under $10,000. To dodge reporting requirements, she said. And these went to an account in Seattle. It lines up perfectly with the diaries, Sarah. My phone buzzed again, Mom, this time. Your behavior worries us all. Maybe skip the meeting next week, for everyone's sake. I showed Jessica, who frowned. They're trying to box you out. They've been boxing me out my whole life, I said, my voice low, bitter. They just never had the nerve to do it openly until now. Jessica gathered the documents into a neat pile. I'll make copies. Everything will be ready for the meeting. But, Sarah, she met my eyes, once this starts, there's no turning back. As your family's lawyer, I'm obligated to report any crimes. I understand, I said, standing. Walking out, I called Lauren. It's done. Jessica has everything. How's she holding up? Lauren asked. I passed the Boston Common, where Amy and I used to chase fireflies as kids, before she learned to weaponize her tears. Ready, I said, my voice steady. They can't stop this now. Lauren paused. Amy called me earlier. Said you're acting erratic. Asked if I noticed anything troubling. I laughed, hollow and cold. Still playing the scared little sister. She knows something's coming. My phone buzzed again, Dad. Call your mom. She's worried sick. I didn't reply. They all sensed the truth closing in. They just didn't know how sharp its edges would be. Jessica's conference room in Boston felt like a pressure cooker, the mahogany table barely big enough for the weight of what was coming. Mom and Dad sat across from me, Ellen's hands fidgeting, Richard's eyes glued to the floor. Amy nestled between them, her face pale, lips tight. I took the seat opposite her, my gaze locked on hers, daring her to look away. The notary, a wiry man with thin glasses, shuffled papers with robotic precision. Jessica set a recorder on the table. Before we begin, I need everyone's consent to record this meeting. Mom's hand flew to her throat. Is that necessary? Standard procedure, Jessica said smoothly. To protect all parties. A soft knock made Amy flinch. The door opened and Grace Wilson stepped in, her charcoal suit sharp but her slight limp unmistakable, a permanent gift from Amy. Dad's voice rose. Who's this? This is family business. Ms. Wilson is a material witness, Jessica explained, her tone calm but firm. Her presence ties to the estate transfer. Amy's fingers shook as she reached for her water glass, her eyes darting to Grace. I don't understand. You will, I whispered, my voice low, cutting. Jessica handed out copies of Mom's diary entry from February 2nd, 2000. Ellen gasped, recognizing her own handwriting. Where did you get this? She whispered, her voice breaking. The attic, I said, my tone cold. Right where you hid the truth about what Amy did. Enough, Dad snapped, standing. We're not doing this today. Sit down, Richard, Jessica said, her voice like steel. You need to hear this. There are legal implications. Amy's voice quavered, a practiced tremor. This is ridiculous. Sarah's just trying to hurt me again. Again? Grace spoke, her voice steady, slicing through the room. Like you hurt me, Amy? Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Amy stared at Grace, her face draining of color. That's not you moved away. After your parents paid mine $75,000 to keep quiet, Grace said, placing her medical records on the table. But money doesn't erase scars. Or memories. Mom started sobbing. We did what we had to protect our daughter. Which daughter? I asked, my voice sharp. The one who pushed a girl down the stairs? Or the one you let her destroy? It was an accident, Amy whispered, her eyes flicking to the door. No, Grace said, her voice unwavering. You grabbed my hair. You laughed as I fell. Then you played the victim for 20 years while I relearned how to walk. The notary cleared his throat, uneasy. Jessica pressed on, sliding bank statements across the table. These document financial fraud to cover a violent assault. Conspiracy, obstruction of justice crimes that can still be prosecuted. Dad clutched his head. We were protecting our family. By destroying mine? Grace asked, pointing at Amy. By letting her keep hurting people? You all ganged up on me. Amy screamed, her facade cracking. Even you, Sarah. Always so perfect, always judging. Perfect. I stood, my voice rising. I lost my marriage because you lied about me. Lost your trust because you needed a villain. Lost everything because you were too fragile. Enough, Jessica cut in. The estate transfer is suspended pending investigation. I'm obligated to report this. Amy collapsed into her chair, tears streaming, not her usual crocodile tears, but raw, jagged sobs. Dad's voice was barely audible. What do you want, Sarah? The truth, I said, meeting Grace's eyes. She nodded. And justice. Real justice. As I walked out, Amy's voice followed, soft, broken. What have I done? The question lingered, etched in 20 years of lies, now shattered in the open air. 3 days after the meeting, Lauren's article hit the front page of the Boston Herald, the headline screaming, "Family Secrets Unraveled, a 20-year cover-up exposed." I read it at my kitchen table, cold coffee beside me, my phone buzzing like a hornet's nest. The story laid it all bare: Amy's assault on Grace, the $75,000 payoff, Mom and Dad's lies to protect their fragile daughter. Local news picked it up, then regional outlets. People couldn't resist a perfect family's fall. Did you see this? Grace texted, her message popping up. It's everywhere. She wasn't kidding. Social media churned with shock, old classmates digging up memories of Amy's high school reign. My phone kept buzzing missed calls from cousins, friends, even my ex, Mark, probably itching to rewrite his own lies now that Amy's were exposed. I ignored them all. Dad called at noon, his voice hoarse, broken. Your mom's had a breakdown, Sarah. She's in the psychiatric ward at Massachusetts General. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it, but my voice stayed steady. Are you okay? He laughed, a hollow sound. This is what you wanted, isn't it? No, Dad, I said, my tone firm. I wanted the truth. You all made it ugly. He hung up without a word. Lauren showed up later with takeout and whiskey, her eyes scanning me. You holding up? Define holding up, I said, showing her my phone's call log, dozens of notifications. Mark even had the nerve to call. Probably wants to apologize now that Amy's lies about me are public. Lauren snatched the phone, scoffing. Shameless. Another buzz, Jessica this time. Your parents' lawyer wants to settle. Thoughts? Not interested, I texted back, my fingers quick. Let the law handle it. Lauren scrolled her news feed, her voice grim. Police are sniffing around, looking into financial fraud. Comments on my article are wild, people are stunned, especially about the staircase. She paused, glancing at me. Heard from Amy? Nope, I said, pushing my untouched food away. Her husband called, though. She's at a rehab center in Arizona, still playing the anxiety card. Lauren snorted. Old habits. A knock at the door made us both jump. It was Dad, looking like he'd aged a decade overnight. Can I come in? I stepped aside, letting him into my Cambridge apartment. He stood awkwardly, staring at the floor. Your mom, he started, then stopped, swallowing hard. She keeps asking for Amy, saying she needs to protect her from the truth. From herself. He finally met my eyes, his voice cracking. The doctors say this mess destroyed us all. You, me, her. Not all of us, I whispered, my voice soft but unyielding. Some of us survived. Sarah, he said, tears welling. We failed you. I failed you. Yeah, I said simply. You did. The house is being foreclosed, he went on, his voice flat. Fraud investigations, your mom's hospital bills. I don't know what's next. You do what I did, I said, handing him a glass of water. You start over. You build something real. How? He asked, looking lost, like the man who once seemed unbreakable had crumbled. One day at a time, I said. No lies. No more Amy's games. But you have to want it. He nodded slowly, then left, his footsteps heavy. My phone buzzed Grace again. My lawyer says they're pushing a settlement. Should we take it? No, I typed back. Let them face it all. The truth was out, and for the first time, I wasn't carrying its weight alone. Autumn leaves skittered across the bench in Boston Common where Grace and I sat, watching kids swing and laugh. Mom's final diary rested between us, unopened, its leather cover worn but heavy with truth. You sure you want to read it? Grace asked, her voice gentle, her scar catching the fading sunlight. No, I admitted, my fingers tracing the cover. But I need to. I opened it to the last entry, dated just before I found the diaries. Mom's handwriting wobbled, raw. I created a monster. My Amy, my broken girl. Every lie I told to shield her made it worse. And Sarah, my strong one, I sacrificed her to cradle Amy's weakness. What kind of mother am I? I closed the diary, my throat tight. She knew, I whispered. All along, she knew. Of course she did, Grace said softly. That's why she hid them. She wanted someone to find the truth. My phone buzzed. Lauren. Court date set. You ready? More than ever, I typed back, my resolve ironclad. Grace raised an eyebrow. Fraud charges. I nodded. Dad pleaded guilty. Mom's doctor says she's not fit for court. Amy's out of rehab, fighting her divorce, claiming her husband abused her. Grace's laugh was sharp, bitter. Some things never change. But we have, I said, watching a girl help her little sister on the slide. We're stronger. Grace touched her scar, her eyes distant. Your dad called me yesterday. Wants to apologize. Says he's in therapy, hopes I'd meet him and your mom. She's getting better, starting to see what she did wrong. Will you? I asked. Maybe, she said. Not for them. For me. A figure approached Jessica, holding a thick envelope. It's done, she said, sitting beside us. The estate's settled to cover legal fees and your mom's care. But there's something left. She handed me the envelope. Your dad insisted. Inside was a deed to a small lakeside cabin in Maine, where we'd vacationed as kids before Amy's lies tore us apart. He signed it to you, Jessica said. Said it was always yours, untouched by Amy. My hand shook. I didn't want their gifts. Take it, Grace whispered. Not as their daughter, but as the one who broke the cycle. My phone buzzed, Dad. The cabin's yours. No strings, just truth. Jessica pulled out her tablet. The Herald wants to interview you both. About survival, not victimhood. Thoughts? I looked at Grace, who watched the kids, their laughter bright against the dusk. It's time to tell our story, she said. The real one. No more hiding, I agreed. No more lies. Jessica smiled. I'll set it up. Oh, and Sarah, your mom's doctor called. She asked about you. Not yet, I said firmly. I'm not ready. That's okay, Grace said, squeezing my hand. Healing's not a sprint. We sat in silence, the sun dipping low. A girl fell near us, scraping her knee. Her older sister wiped her tears, coaxing a smile. Look at them, Grace whispered. That could have been us. It should have been, I said, my voice soft. But maybe our story will save another Sarah, another Grace. My phone lit up an unknown number. Amy, using a new phone. I'm getting help. Real help. Not for you, not for them, but for me. I don't expect forgiveness. Just wanted you to know. I showed Grace, who read it carefully. Do you believe her? I don't know, I said, and for the first time, I didn't care. Amy's story wasn't mine anymore. I typed back, I know. That's why I stopped you. Goodbye. Then I blocked her number. I picked up Mom's diary and the cabin deed. Want to burn these? No, Grace said firmly. Keep them. Proof you were always strong enough to face the truth. Both of us were. The sun sank behind the trees, shadows stretching across the park. Two survivors sat together, choosing truth over lies, freedom over a broken family. They called me the survivor, I said softly. They're right, Grace replied, her voice warm. But not the way they meant. We smiled, knowing the best endings don't come from forgiveness, but from letting the past die and finding peace in our own strength.